The Kenise and Marc Show. The Kenise and Marc Show. Make sure you tune into the Kenise and Marc Show.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Kenise and Marc Show. I am Kenise.
I'm Marc.
All about relationships. Once again, we're welcoming you to our show.
Yes.
Today, it is finally summertime, and so we're really excited that you guys are joining us here for the summer. How are you liking your summer?
Oh, I'm enjoying it. This is my favorite time of the year. I'm not really. Spring is okay.
Yeah.
Fall is okay.
Yeah.
And winter.
He hates winter. He hates winter.
The older I get, I'm like, get me away from this cold. I just like the shorts and the t-shirts and.
You like Florida then, so you should move down to Florida.
Yeah, probably when
Georgia.
I retire.
When are you retiring?
Who knows?
You're never gonna retire. He's never gonna retire. So I mean, I'm happy. You know, the good mood, the good feeling, because I'm looking at you. You look great. I love when a man wears pink, because I think
Really?
yes, I do, because I think it's not all men like to wear pink.
Well, I have to acknowledge it. Several years ago, I had a little problem with that because I didn't want to be identified as, let's just say, a certain kind of people.
Okay.
And it was like that manly thing. It was like, oh man, I ain't not wearing no pink, So
what happened?
Well, it's colors. I mean, now we're in an age now with colors.
Mm-hmm.
People identify more with colors, and
Right.
it's just I like to match and all that, so
Yeah.
it works.
How does the color make you feel? Like when you wear certain colors, how does it make you feel?
That's a good question. I really don't know. I don't feel any different than if I had on black.
Okay.
I just just like presentation is important to me.
Right.
So I just like to look good. That's all.
And
Try it.
But when you internalize it, also looking good can help you internalize and make you feel good on the inside, right?
Yes, I agree.
Because that's how I feel. Like when my hair is done, or when like my makeup is done, like I feel a certain way. I feel a certain way outside, but then I also feel a certain way inside. So today our topic is I want to kill myself.
It's okay. I know after all of that, now you want to kill yourself. Feeling good about colors, and now I have to end it all.
With the recent suicides that hit the media in regards to Kate Spade and Mr. Bourdain, it has just been spiked, and it's something, again, our show really is to talk to people that are churched and unchurched. But this one I think is a little bit more for the churched folk, because we don't talk about depression, we don't talk about suicide. Everything is kind of like, if you're depressed, it's like, well, some people may say like you're demon possessed. You need
right.
prayer. Let's go pray, and you need to read the word, you need to fast, and you need to do all of this stuff. I feel that yes, those things do help. Meditation, reading the Bible, prayer is all part of that wholeness with your physical, your mind, body, and soul. But I mean, what are your thoughts about the church world and depression when it comes to depression?
The church world, we kind of what you just said. It really, you hit some points there about the praying and certain scriptures and all that, and that's good for Sunday morning. But the problem is with a lot of Christians, we need something in between Sunday morning and the weekday Bible study.
Yes.
Most of the time, there's no forum available for parishioners to discuss how they really feeling.
Right.
Right. I think even amongst just a group of people, as opposed to they getting counseling from your pastor. I mean, it's okay, and that does help. But sometimes it helps to hear from others what they are going through.
Right.
Depression is real, and people just have different phases of depression. Some are depressed about their marriages, some are depressed about their children, some are depressed about their past.
Yes.
Some don't. They never met their parents, or they don't have a good relationship with their parents. I'm talking about adults.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's just so many various reasons why depression falls on Christians, but it happens. And you got to deal with it somehow, realistically.
I went through a really intense time of depression. I never knew what depression was, but after my separation and in the whole process of my divorce, and then I realized like after hearing from other people, like what is depression, you know, where I didn't feel motivated. Like I'm pretty energetic, pretty excitable person, but after it hit me so hard, so emotionally on the inside, that I would wear this mask to go out, and then when I came back and it was just me alone, it would just be, I didn't want to go to work, I didn't want to smile, I was just doing the ritualistic things with my child. It's so hard. And then I remember one night I just sat down and I realized that if I continued to be like this, I would be on medications and I would have to probably see a psychiatrist, because I felt like I was literally losing my mind. Now, I didn't have any suicidal ideations, because I feel, you know, unfortunately my thoughts about suicide is that, you know, it's a selfish act. You really don't think about the other people around you. And unfortunately, I'm a huge Kate Spade fan. I love Kate Spade. I love her products. I've followed her during her entire career and how she's blown up. Last year, she sold Kate Spade, the company, but it's an apparel company, so they sell bags and stuff like that. And it was clothing too. But last year, she made $2.6 million in sales. So it's not money, but in her note, I think we were talking about, in her suicide note that apparently she left, it said that she told her daughter it wasn't her fault. So the story has it that her daughter chose to live with her dad. They went through a separated, right? And so it has to be a reason why. You know, we talk about relationships on this show, but relationship with her child could have been the saving point to save her from doing that act of committing suicide, taking her life.
And he probably didn't realize that would. I'm sure if he knew that might happen, he might have
let the daughter stay.
Yeah.
You know.
I think we as Christian leaders, especially in the church, we feel that we don't have a forum to discuss
we don't talk about
depressions. I mean, because I've been, you know, I can think of, I didn't realize, like you just said, you never knew what depression was. I never knew what depression was. So I went back and looked on some of the things I've gone through.
Yes.
And you hit the nail on the head. It's like, you're not motivated. I could think of the main depression I went through was burying my 3-year-old son. I couldn't do anything. I didn't even know my name.
Right. It's like a fog.
Just walking around in the fog. I don't remember too much of anything. I don't even remember. I remember parts of the homegoing service, the funeral service. Parts of it. I can't.
Because you were in a fog.
Yeah, I was just out of it. And certain things I remember, and other things I don't. I didn't write any music that year. I didn't, like you said, I didn't want to do anything. I just wanted to just sit in one spot. So.
That's kind of like the separation between like being sad. You know, you could be sad. You know, I'm sad that, you know, you're wearing pink. That's not a good example. But I'm sad, you know, I'm saddened by the fact, you know, of X, Y, and Z. But there's that level of depression, of that depressive state. So those are signs. So those are common signs where you don't feel motivated, you don't feel like you want to do anything. Your friends, family, people come, but you just feel that internal sadness. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Inside Out by Pixar, but there is this girl in her head and she has all these emotions, and one of them is sadness. It's hilarious. You need to see it. But when we come back, we want to just talk a little bit more about how, if you're feeling depressed and you're having some suicidal ideations, how potentially you can look at figuring out if you're really suicidal, and then what do you do next. We'll be right back.
Fellas, do you ever find yourself being rejected by the ladies because of your breath?
Look, junk in the trunk. Okay, I'm gonna be with you. It's a holiday, right? Yeah. Let's me and you gonna make a miracle on 34th Street.
Try Lipsperine and get your relationship back on track.
Welcome back. So our topic today is I want to kill myself. And we're talking about, you know, with the current media and what's going on with the current high-profile suicides that occurred here in the States. For those of you guys watching overseas, that we were just talking about depression and talking about what can you do. And Mark and I shared earlier about our kind of what we've gone through, kind of our experience when it came to depression. So you were saying, Mark, earlier about your son passing away. How did you come out of that depressive state?
Eventually I came out, but help was just talking about it. You know, my parents were good sounding boards, you know, they listened a lot, you know, close friends of mine, but what really helped is me occasionally stumbling across friends or some people I barely knew who gone through the same thing.
Yeah.
Who buried their children. And so it just helps that there's somebody else out there who can
relate.
identify with my pain.
That's awesome.
You know, it's not going to change what happened, but just to sit down and talk with, hear somebody else's experience, and then somebody else's experience, and then somebody, because you know, I never thought about it till it happened to me. I was like, you know, wow, how do people lose their children? It's like, oh, it was, so, you know, there's always signs of, you know, certain songs remind me of him, or like I used to take him out to the school bus. We used to come pick him up. Aww. And all of that. So if I'm driving and I'm at a red light and I'm behind a school bus, even now I still think about him. Yeah. So certain things that constantly remind me of him. But then, you know, I've become thankful to God that no, I didn't want to lose him, but at least he left peacefully. He wasn't tragically, violently taken away. You know, so that's not to say that, you know, I pray for those who have gone through that, but I just pray, I'm thankful that I didn't have to go through that, that at least he left peacefully, he wasn't in any pain or anything, so that's my consolation. And then, you know, little by little, you know, as the years have gone by, you know, it's not too bad, you know, the sting is not as bad.
Right, but it's still there.
Still
you can
there.
still see the mark, the sting mark. And I think that point that you made, Mark, is really great. So if you're in a depressive state or you feel like you're going through depression, it's so important about the relationships that you do have. Yeah. What helped to bring me out of my depression, you know, were friends. You know, people who went through separation and a divorce, that they understood, they could relate. So, and we did a lot of laughing. I will tell you, laughter is great medicine. Mm-hmm. And even though I didn't want to laugh, I didn't feel like laughing, but they surrounded me with joy and they brought so much laughter to my life. Mm-hmm. Even after they were gone, there were times when I would go back into that depressive state when you're kind of alone. You know, it's always that lonely time when everybody's gone, it's dark outside, the midnight hour. And then, you know, all of a sudden I would think about, oh, that's so funny. And I would like chuckle to myself. And I kind of kind of progressed through it by myself. And I was telling Mark earlier that even just reading the Bible, like it was just like black letters on a page because it meant nothing to me. Because it's that kind of level where you're so low. Yeah. And you can become so low. And I think when you go to church, people are always talking to you. You know, the pastor gets up, he's talking to you. The worship, the praise team, they're like ministering to you. You really don't get an opportunity to say anything back. You know, even like if you have like a midweek service or something, again, somebody's talking to you.
And to me, that's more pressure because as leaders, people are looking to get from us.
Exactly.
We have to put out all the time. Right. So when are we allowed space?
Cry?
Right. When can we do anything? Because we have to go through these personal struggles
right.
and then come on Sunday morning and stand in front of everybody with a smile and you know
you can make it.
Exactly. I have the victory. And all that. And it's like
yes.
you know, there's no space to really minister to yourself or somebody to minister to you.
And that's why I feel like my dad always preaches that you have to edify and build yourself up in the Lord. You know, a preacher and a pastor, we're all great. It's great for us to get ministered to. But if you don't know who you are in God or know who you are and sense that strength within you, because that's what I did. One night I just got up and I looked at myself in the mirror and I'm like crying. I'm like, in my mind, I'm thinking, I can't stay here. If I stay here, I'm going to be on meds.
But when you first started crying, you knew then who you were.
But I couldn't, I couldn't even control it.
That's the area we have to deal with as Christians. We know who we are, but yet we find ourselves depressed. And we can't shout over it, we can't preach over it, we can't sing over it. It's real, and if you don't identify with it and relate to it realistically, you know, even Christians. I mean, who was that preacher from Florida that took his life several years ago?
Oh, right, yes.
Zachary
yes, it was a suicide.
Yeah.
It was suicide, yeah.
I mean, I don't know a lot about him. My parents watched him all the time.
Yeah, I didn't know a lot about him.
My mom spoke highly of him.
Yes.
And his ministry was like off the chain, but look what happened.
Look what happened. But you also never know what's going on with somebody else. And maybe it's always good to be kind to other people. And sometimes somebody who's going through something, they could be like very sharp with you or be like mean to you. sometimes those are like internal feelings that they're feeling inside, and then we lash out back like, oh, you're such a nasty person. You know, so sometimes you never know what the other person is going through. But I guess our suggestion is if you're going through a depressive state, you're going through something where maybe you have suicidal ideations, what should you do? My first suggestion would be seek help. Speak to somebody, confide in somebody that's not going to judge you, because I know we're big on, we don't want people judging us, we don't want people talking about us. It's always probably best your pastor.
I think it's pastor, but I will dare to go a step further and say you should seek out someone who's been through the same thing you've been through.
Yes.
Because it's hard to how you talk to somebody who can identify what you're going through. When I lost my son, you know, speaking to somebody who's never lost a child,
right.
I mean,
they're like, oh, you'll be fine.
But one of the worst things you could ever say is when somebody loses a family member is they're with God now, or they're, you know, they're in a better place now.
Right.
So a family member said that to me, and it's like you're clueless, because the personal, emotional side of me is like, I know he's in a better place. I don't want him in a better place. I want him with me.
Right. Yeah.
So sometimes we don't know what to say.
I know.
And the best thing to do is just to pray. Especially
shut up.
If it's somebody again who's never been through. If you never lost a child.
Yes.
What could you say to me? Mm-hmm. So now, if you lost a child, you've got my attention. It may not be a baby, or it doesn't matter how old the child is, even if it's an adult. But at least I can sit and listen and glean from your experience, and it'll make, you know, for me, that brought me some consolation. It felt better. So when you were going through with your marriage, it helps to talk to somebody
who went through it,
who's had a failed marriage.
Yes. And I built relationships with the people. So you want to confide in those people, and I think, yes, definitely people who identify with us. That's really important. And if that's not helping you, then you should definitely seek professional help. And professional, I mean like seeking like a therapist, like somebody who is a mental health counselor, somebody who is a licensed social worker, somebody who like focuses on depression, they can help bring you through this progressively. So prayer does work, reading the word does work, going to church, all of that stuff does work, but sometimes you need to enhance and broaden it a little bit more. And of course, obviously, if you feel like you have a plan, because I feel when people want to commit suicide, they usually have a plan in their mind, and you're gonna act. If you have a plan, then you definitely need to seek professional help right now. You know. So, anything else you want to add?
Don't do it.
Sorry, he scared me. He just almost killed me. So guys, thank you so much for joining us on this show. Again, seek professional help if you're going through a very depressive stage right now. We love you guys. I'm Kenise.
I'm Marc.